Hey there, welcome to the studio. So today I thought I'd show you how to make a really simple kind of binding that you can use to make a junk journal or some kind of art journal. And to do that I'm using some bulk mailing cards that came in the post. And you're going to need something to punch holes with and something to make a template with. So to start with, I'm going to make a template by folding this piece of paper in half and in half again. And then I'm going to punch a hole on each of those folds. And so I get them in a straight line. I'm just going to make another fold in my piece of paper like that. So I'm going to punch everywhere where those creases overlap. So next I'm going to take each of my cards and I'm going to line my template up on the card and I'm going to punch those holes. If you want to, you could use a little clip to hold that in place. Okay. So you can see I've punched some holes into my card. Okay, I'm going to do that for all of these cards and then I'll be right back to show you how to do the bind. Okay, so I punched holes in all of my cards and the next step is to cut 3 pieces of string that are about as long as both of your arms stretched out. You need 1 piece of yarn or string for each hole. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold the strings in half. So I have a loop at this end and 2 tails at this end. And this binding starts at the back of the book, which is kind of unusual. So I'm going to put my loop through the hole. I'm going to bring my 2 tails from the back and pull them up through the loop like this. Okay, so I'm going to do that 1 time for each hole that I have. Loop coming through the hole, tails coming through the loop, gently pulling that snug. Okay, so one last time, folding the string in half, loop coming through the hole, tails coming through the loop, and gently pulling that tight. You want to pull those snug but not so hard that you break or tear your card. So now I have all 3 strings attached to my 3 holes. Okay, for the next layer, I'll lay my strings out like that. I'm going to put the next card to attach on top of the one that's already there. I'm going to take my string over the front of the card and put my 2 tails down the next hole, like this. Then I'm going to split these 2 strings apart in the front and tuck my tails through that hole. And then I'm gently going to pull that tight. Okay. So I'm taking the tails through the hole on the front. Then I'm going to split the two strings apart and bring my tails from the back through that hole at the front. Okay, one last time. So my tails go through the hole from the front of the card that I'm attaching to the back. And then I'm splitting apart the two threads to make a little hole. An opening. And I'm pulling the two tails through. Then I'm going to lay that card down, and I'm just going to gently tighten those up. And I'm just going to keep doing that. You can keep adding cards or pages until you run out of threads. Okay, so you can see that the finished binding has this really nice kind of plaited look. And here are all of my cards all bound together. And the last thing that I'm going to do is just tie a knot here. Tie a knot there. So I took the middle one, tied it to the bottom one, took the middle one, tied it to the top one. And then if you want to, you could add some beads and charms on here. And then the last step is just to start collaging on your pages of your new scrap junk journal. And to give you some ideas, I thought I'd just do a quick flip through of a couple of journal pages from some of my journals. So these ones are just using some scrap paper and images and words I cut from magazines. You can see this one isn't finished yet. And here's another one. So again, I'm often just picking words and images from magazines, pieces of scrap paper. This is a piece of coffee filter. Just things that I find around the house. Collaging them. There you can see some type just cut from different magazine pages. And I'm just collaging them onto these cards that come in the mail. I like them when they're all kind of crazy different shapes and sizes, but you can make yours all the same size. And if you want a blank surface to begin with, you could paint over all of your pages with some gesso or white paint. Sometimes I like to add some sewing. The nice thing about mixed media journaling, of course, is that you can just keep adding layers. If you don't like how it looks, you can add another layer and another layer and another layer until you're happy with how it turned out. So that's a pretty cheap and easy project you can do just with some things that you might already have at home. Come back later for another new project.